Hey everybody, Grandmaster Ben Finegold here, trying to broadcast from outside again. Nice day out again, high 70s on my deck. A little different view than usual. Most of me and my computer aren't in the sun, so I don't think it's going to be too hot. So the Pro Chess League ended a month ago, and I was looking at some of my games from previous U.S. chess leagues, and one of my favorite games was a game that I won Game of the Week for. I think I made a video on the St. Louis Chess Club YouTube page, maybe, in this game, which was played several years ago against Niclas Huschenbeth. He's a German grandmaster who came to study, I think, at UMBC. I think that's where he is. He may have graduated, but and I probably have the school wrong too. But I might have it right. And this was actually his first game ever in the U.S. Chess League, playing, for a team. And it was one of my best games. So it was played in, 2012. So maybe he has graduated. Okay, and Huschenbeth's a little bit higher rated than me. Now, my preparation for the game was incorrect. Because I thought he'd play the King's Indian, and he played the Nimzo-Indian. And it turned out, I was looking at games he had played, a long time ago, and I didn't really get to the recent games, I think. So I think he was playing the Nimzo-Indian more in the last couple of years, and maybe 5 or 10 years before he was playing the King's Indian. So I incorrectly thought that when he played the Nimzo-Indian, he wouldn't know it very well. Maybe he just played to surprise me, when in fact, it shouldn't have been a surprise. Okay, I played Queen C2, which I always play. Castles, which I think is the best move. Knight F3, which is usually what I play now, although I might start playing E4 more. C5 takes, Knight A6. So this is the main position in this variation. And normally I play G3 here. I have a lot of games with G3. I've probably made videos with games with G3. Another line that I play sometimes, which allows black sort of immediate equality, is what I played this game. And if black doesn't play the line that equalizes, he can get in a lot of trouble. And so far, my record is about 50-50 as far as people playing the right line and people playing the wrong line. And when they play the wrong line, I think I have 2.5 out of 3 or 3.5 out of 4. And when they play the right line, I think I have all draws. So, okay, so I played Bishop D2 because I figure he doesn't play the Nimzo-Indian, which I was wrong, and that he would know G3 because that's what I always play. So I'll play something he doesn't know. And actually, he didn't know this, so sort of right by accident. Hey, Wind, can you keep it down in trees? I'm giving a lecture here. Knight C5, the point of Knight A6. And the point of Bishop D2 is to play A3 and take with the bishop. And in this position, it looks pretty innocuous because all I did was play sort of the passive Bishop D2, and I didn't really do anything exciting. But actually, I have a pretty reasonable threat here. And what black should do is black should immediately play knight to e4. Probably knight c to e4. And then, the position's about equal. And a lot of people play knight e4, and the game is sort of boring. I don't really mind boring. My opponent played the very natural move, which actually is a mistake. He played the move b6. And I faced this a few times. b6 is a very natural move because you want to play bishop b7 and rook c8 and so forth. Unfortunately for black, I have a very aggressive move now that puts a lot of pressure on him. That move is knight g5, and with the sort of obvious threat of taking his knight on f6 and then queen h7 mate. It's obvious, but it's very difficult to stop. So a move that may surprise you here, which many players have played, is rook to e8. And that just sacrifices a pawn temporarily. And now it looks like white's won a pawn and black's running his king around, but black has two very serious threats here. Queen takes b2 and queen takes g5. So, and white has, not moved most of his pieces on the back row. So this probably isn't that bad for black. Anyway, so rook e8 is a move, and you don't necessarily want to even take on f6 and play queen h7, although you do want to do that if they don't play rook e8 because it's mate. Okay, my opponent played the more obvious move, which is g6, stopping my threat. And g6 really makes my bishop on c3 powerful. It's a great bishop on the dark squares. I mean, black's putting all of his pawns on the white squares. There's no dark square bishops. That's not good. Okay, so before attacking the knight, this is the other reason why you play knight g5. Now black can't play knight e4 because you're protecting e4. Black doesn't really want to play knight b7 or knight a6 because those are terrible squares for the knight. So my opponent didn't do that. He played for active counterplay. He played h6. If I move my knight, he can play knight e4. So we traded knights. And I played the move queen d3 because I'd like to play queen to d4 and, you know, put pressure on this diagonal and try to mate him. The immediate threat in this position is to play queen f3, attacking the knight and attacking the rook on a8. So he played the move bishop b7, developing a piece and stopping my threat. I played the aforementioned queen d4, and he played the only move, king g7, defending his knight, although that's not a very nice pin to be in. This is the kind of position where you develop your pieces in castle and sort of plot along. This is the kind of position where you try to give your opponent the smackdown, because I have this big attack on the diagonal. So I play h4 with the obvious threat of h takes g5. If he plays g4 to prevent that, I can play queen takes g4 if I want, because his knight's pinned. I'm not sure if I would play queen takes g4. I might play h5. I might take on b6. Unclear. But, okay, g4, the pawn's not defended. So he played the obvious move. He played b takes c5, because that tries to get my queen off of the diagonal. And I took my pawn back. And if it was my move, taking on g5 with either piece wins. Obviously, taking with the h-pawn is even better. So he played the move g4, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the whole game, I've been playing with my queen and bishop, and they're pretty good. I'm controlling the dark squares. And I'm trying to get my h-rook into the game, but I couldn't do it. But I can't get my a-rook into the game. So I played rook to d1. And eventually, if I have a chance, I can play something like queen e5 or queen g5, attacking the knight, and his queen would be overworked, so I'm threatening rook takes d7. That's like a good long-term plan. Also, my rook's good on d1. My rook's not good on a1, so rook d1 was sort of an obvious move to me. Okay, he played d5, which makes a lot of sense, stopping my rook takes d7 idea later, and stopping my queen from going to e5 or g5. Again, the moves make a lot of sense. I played queen to d4, getting my queen back over to the king's side. Maybe I'll take on g4. He played rook h8, trying to stop me from playing h5. And I played h5, because trying is the first step to failure. So, of course, if it's black's move in this position, which it is, he has to stop the move h6. Because if it was white's move, h6 would win, because he needs his king to defend f6, but h6 makes his king move off of f6, I should say. So I guess the obvious moves for black when your opponent plays h5 are to take on h5. And he has two ways to do this. Unfortunately, his king gets really exposed. So for example, let's take with the rook, and then I'll take, and then he'll take, and I guess I'd play queen f4. Not sure, but game was played 5 years ago, so what do I know? I mean, queen f4 makes sense to me. And then I'm threatening queen g5 check. So, yeah, queen g5 check. Man, that's, the truth hurts. So I think king g6 is forced, because you got to stop queen g5 check. And I'm guessing if I play e3 with the idea of bishop to d3 check, I don't like black's position. It's hard to believe that black can survive this. I guess it's possible, but yeah, this looks just terrible for black. So that's one idea I could play. And maybe I had something else in mind too. I guess I could also play queen e5 with the same queen g5 check idea, and then play e3. And the difference is, with my queen on f4, he could probably play knight e4, but now knight e4 looks a little suspicious to me. So maybe queen e5 is more accurate, then bishop g3 check is even stronger. Okay, I'm sure there's a win, because my queen and bishop battery is too powerful, and his king is walking up the board. Okay, so that's like a sample line if he takes on h5. Now, if he doesn't take on h5, I'm going to play h6 check. So he found a move where he doesn't take on h5, and I can't play h6 check. He played rook h6. Okay, pretty good move. And I played queen e5, which pins his d-pawn with my rook. And the main idea, I think, again, I played this game 5 years ago, was to play rook d4, rook f4. That looks pretty annoying. Okay, he played rook c8, and I guess if I play rook d4, he'll play rook takes c4. So I played e3, and my bishop on f1 is defending my c-pawn, so there's no more rook takes c4. And again, I want to play rook d4, rook f4, and give him the smackdown. He played queen e7, and I played rook h4. I wonder why. I guess if I play rook d4, rook f4, maybe he can get some counterplay. Nah, he can't do that because I take this with check. Oh, you know what? If I play rook d4, I'm blocking my bishop. So maybe he can do that then. And then queen c1 check. Okay, so if my rook's on d1, he can never take on a3. And even if he does take on a3, what do I care? But if my rook's on f4 and his queen goes to c1, then I care a little bit. So the idea of rook h4 is very simple. I'm going to play rook g4, and then I'm going to play rook f4. And it's funny. It was white's move here. Let's make a really dumb move for black, a6. Okay, and I take, because his knight's pinned, and he takes. It's amazing how many of his pieces are pinned. I take his rook, and both pieces that can take my queen are pinned. Bishop on c3 is pretty good. So this really obvious idea of rook g4, rook f4, that's the idea. If he takes on h5 again, for example, what did I do wrong? It won't let me. Wow, what happened? Oh, okay, didn't take back a6. Okay, if he takes on h5, for example, then I play queen g5 check, and the game is over. Bishop takes f6 next move. Okay, so he played the move bishop c6. I don't need to explain why, because actually he showed why his next move. He wants to play bishop a4, although that doesn't really do anything. So I took on g4. He played bishop a4 attacking my rook, but I played rook f4 because I don't care. And if he takes my rook and I take his knight, then you have to be at least 18 years old to look at this position, because this is black's really getting crushed here. I'm threatening everything. I can't find a move that's not a threat. Rook takes g6 double check, rook takes e6 discovered check, king takes d1 wins. Okay, so this is just completely lost for black. So he played the move g takes h5, because then his rook on h6 is defending his knight. Okay, and I took anyway. And now there's two variations to analyze. If you take with the queen, I play queen g5 check, and I take your queen next move. And you can't play rook g6 attacking my queen. I mean, you could. Then I would take your queen with check. So, and the other move, obviously, is rook takes f6, queen g5 check. The rook is pinned, and I'm going to take on f6 and mate you and be up a piece and win your queen. Okay. So after rook takes f6, he resigned. So that was played in the U.S. Chess League in 2012. I was playing for the St. Louis Archbishops. I guess he was playing for the Baltimore Kingfishers, maybe? Maybe I made that up. I don't know. He's playing for some team. And I was actually board 1, I think, which doesn't make any sense. I think usually I'm board 3 or 4. So being board 1 was weird. Maybe our other guys were taking a nap. I don't know. So I guess we won that match. That was one of my best games in the U.S. Chess League, because I played pretty accurately, and my opponent made an opening mistake, and then he really didn't recover well after that. And I thought it was because he didn't play the Nimzo-Indian, but I think he just didn't know bishop to d2. And actually, the move looks pretty passive, but it has a lot of poison. Once my bishop gets to c3, you can see I have a lot of aggressive intentions. If black knows what he's doing, and he knows the line, he can probably equalize the position. Otherwise, after knight g5, white gets this huge attack. All right, I hope you liked that game. And if you're Niclas Huschenbeth, sorry, man. See you guys in a couple days at the Super Nationals. They're going to break a record. They'll probably get about 5,500 kids. I'll be at the booth for chesskid.com. Don't forget to donate. atlchessclub.com/donate. Visit our website. Like and subscribe here. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And I'll see you guys later. Bye, everyone.